Alright.
Alright, what are we doing? Gojo versus Kakashi?
Yeah, Gojo versus Kakashi. Okay, I think our answers are self-explanatory. So you can still go there.
Sure. Okay. You want me to explain the scan, or you're probably gonna know it?
Just show the scan.
Okay. It's sending. I got a bad reception.
This nigga's gonna do some illogicality bullshit.
Of course.
Fucking up.
Said it's okay. There's no need to get mad.
No, it's annoying because I've already seen these scales.
Oh my fucking god. I'll just send it. Yo, Simply, can you send it?
You can do it, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shitty reception. That's not the scan I was fucking talking.
That's the same scan, bro.
Go watch.
I thought we actually,
Yeah, I got it.
votes. Okay. I thought Simply said, thank you. Alright.
Oh, Dad, what are you trying to
Yeah, logical. Well, logical for anything.
Okay, so why would this be illogical?
Yeah, sure. He's making coexisting stage and negatable contraries coexisting.
Quick question, because I'm gonna attack that in a second. What's your definition? Like, what tier of illogical are you referring to?
Not bounded by literally anything logical necessity, probably.
So just basically metapotence. Okay.
I don't know. Metapotence doesn't fit that.
It practically does. But sure.
Not to me.
So, can you? Okay, so making negative numbers and possible things like -1 apple were born, right? So the analogy for -1 apples is just a representation of a physical impossibility, not an illogical impossibility.
Well, it's illogical in itself. Even if you put it into action, physicality is still logical.
Still logical? No, that would only apply for one tier of illogical, which is why I specified. If something logically happened regardless, even if it's physical, right? That
it
means
can't
it's
logically happen. That's why it's illogical in turn to a physicality.
Okay, nigga. Okay, can you like repeat yourself? Cause like, I feel like you're just acting.
Sure. Yeah. So we should just say it again, so I understand what I just said.
So like the analogy in this reference is just like one possibility, not an illogical possibility. As an illogical possibility would be something that cannot be perceived, cannot happen at all, and therefore doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Both of them. Yeah. This is a logical possibility. I'm just bringing it into like a physicality, but like an anomaly doesn't. Like the other point that you just brought up about saying, why am I thinking? You just fucking said it. Why can't I? Oh my fucking god. Give me like 2 seconds. No, not 2 seconds, 10 seconds. Why can't I understand? What did you say for the second point? Say it again.
Okay, sorry. So what your definition of illogicality is? Something that's completely over logic itself, like, you know, the manifestation of it, right? Something
No. It's not. That's not what I think illogicality is.
What?
I think it's non-obedient to logicality. I don't know if it's over or not. I don't care if it's over.
Yo, am I tripping? What the fuck? Someone named Banana Cats just said I got a project to finish. We had to make a simple game like ping pong.
Yeah, no.
What the fuck is this guy? Die? What the hell?
I'm pretty sure. But yeah, like I said, I don't define logicality by logicality as a non-obedient. So I just define logicality by being a non-obedient strictly required from reducing logicality.
Okay, so that's not the illogicality that you like appeal to before then.
How? What?
Because the illogicality you appeal to before is something completely above, right? What you believe is something completely different.
No, I wasn't appealing to something being completely different. Either way, they're on an equilibrium, different planes. If yours theoretically above mine, nothing's gonna happen to mine either. That's why I would like to say premises, but you said a principle, so I really don't care. If you know my premise, you would obviously know what my presupposition is.
Premise that I would obviously know your position.
Well, yeah, you said a presuppose, so obviously you should know my position.
What? Okay. Do you know what a presupposition is?
Do I know what a presupposition is? Something to be assumed beforehand. The debate's action started, or a course of action of an argument's presented.
Okay, yeah. So what I had in mind before, and I already confirmed this, like before the debate even started, that it was Kakashi versus Gojo. My presupposition is that you think Gojo just wins, because that would be like the main reason as to why we're debating.
My presupposition in any debate. No. So we're explicitly talking about you in this debate using R2 characters, not a generality. So the presupposition of me, since you're specifying, it's my presupposition, and we know each other's presupposition. Mine would be Gojo wins, or it's an inconclusive fight. Yours would obviously be you think Kakashi wins, knowing by your TikTok standards and knowing by your Discord standards.
Yeah, you're agreeing with me, dude. But
okay, sure. That's my premise. That's fine. But it's not just because he wins. It's either inconclusive or he wins.
I'm fine with that.
No, it's either win or it's inconclusive.
That's inconclusive?
Yes, not concluded with me.
Okay, wins are inconclusive, okay. How about that? So yeah, mine will just be the contrary then.
Well, yeah, sure, that's fine. I just want to specify my premise before we go into, Gojo actually wins, and you get your character to logicality as well. It's inconclusive because my standard and not your standard, because your specification is great. Not an equivocation here.
Okay, so are you aware of like what the technique he uses is?
Which one? The limitless?
Technique.
The limitless?
Yes, are you aware where it derives from?
His family?
Oh my god. Okay, The limitless curse technique derives from the Achilles and tortoise paradox. And the paradox is something that's like basically a self-defeater. Sure, it's like an impossibility in physicality, like the paradox.
No, I'm sorry. My whole point with this is not that arguing it's a limitless curse technique. I'm arguing this. I don't get this. Okay, a lot of people. I'm not arguing it's a limitless curse technique as in the infinite convergence of infinite things that approach them automatically slow down. I'm not arguing about it. I'm arguing about a supplementary dish. I even brought this up whenever I debated Tempest, whenever Maji was judged, but he gave him a point. I brought it up as a supplementary. Everything from the limitless is brought forth into reality, so the limitless is always there, such as the Achilles and the tortoise paradox. It's always there in the JJK franchise. Gojo just puts it forth into reality as well as supplementary things. So this framework of like where I'm trying to give my character a logicality isn't the limitless itself. It's a supplementary dish from the limitless, which paradoxical scenarios are completely illogical. So it helps.
No, I disagree that paradoxes are completely illogical, but you're saying I'm not arguing this? I know.
I don't know about completely illogical, just main works or frameworks, they're completely illogical by the basis of it.
Just gonna like check the scan, because like this is like under the statement that this is even right. Why is it not popping up on my screen? I'm gonna just check this. If it like, it's gonna help.
For clarity on the sins or fix up, the scan section that I'm in reference to, I'm not arguing about natural negative numbers or coexisting impossibility and possibility coexisting at the same time. I'm arguing that -1 apples are born.
Your -1 apples are born. Why do you think that's logically impossible?
Because why do I think it's what?
Logically impossible for -1 apples to be born.
Because whenever you put something to a negativism form, if you know what numerical valuing is, negativism, or even the simple subtraction of something, is to seize the complete existence. For example, if somebody was to say, giving an analogy, saying, that is a negative building, there was no building existing there. But if you was to say in this frictional framework that is a negative building, but I'm still putting it forth into reality, he's putting a physicality embodiment of that thing there. While it's still coexisting as non-existence at the same time, which doesn't make sense.
Okay, so I don't think the apples are the physical embodiment. I think that's just a simple analogy to explain why things like impossible situations are a thing. Like, for example, we know that the limitless curse technique, right? It does something that is seemed impossible or deemed impossible by other people in verse, right? So if you do something that seems impossible to other people, you would simply just be giving an analogy. It doesn't have to correlate directly in terms of negative or positive.
Okay, well, the positive and negative part clear my will, so I don't really care about that. My whole point with this is by saying, also the other and everything of like, oh, it's knowledgeable in this verse to be impossible, and another verse is mechanicism to be different to deduce it to be possible. This is where it's distinct, though. This is a main necessity that has to be right because it's logical, such as the 3 laws of logic. I don't know if you believe in that, but most would generally consume the 3 laws of logic are usually typically necessities. Gojo is breaking one of these main frameworks. In no other verse, and if there is other verses, they're deduced to be illogical as well because they're breaking that main framework of logicality where everything is supposedly deduced from. They got like 5 types, but 3 main laws that are considered more debated.
How much main
Say it
form
again?
of logic? What main logicality are they breaking within the 3 laws of logic?
Law of non-contradiction.
Law of non-contradiction.
Yep.
I think it's like objective cross. Why can't it just be inverse?
Say it again.
Do you think that's objective cross-verse? Why can't that just be inverse?
You're asking me if I think it's objective cross-verse. Why is it only applicable to the inverse? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, because I don't think this is the law of non-contradiction at all.
You don't think this is the law of non-contradiction at all?
No, I feel like an ability in a fictional series would obviously have certain things that bound by it, but just because humans don't understand it doesn't mean it's the law of non-contradiction.
Okay, well that's not my point, so it is all contradiction. So that's incredibly not how my point goes. Just because humans don't know of it or are bound by it doesn't mean it's not my point. That's not what I was arguing.
That's like a switch in your sentence. I didn't say humans don't know it, therefore that's the case. I'm saying humans like physically can't perceive it as well as
no. That's either way. That's not my argument.
What's your argument? Because like
he's making coexistent. Yeah, he's making coexistent stages of contradictory inferences or deducibly valid inferences coexist at the same time. Okay, and in any cross-verse section, it's credible because in most cases they don't make contraries; they coexist at the same time. For example, if that was the case in Naruto verse, like if somebody created like this impossibility turned into a possibility, they wouldn't convert in a stage of both being coexistent. One's converting into the other because that's how it works in that framework. That's why it works in cross-verse sections as well, because you're deducing this in this hypothetical narrative, but bringing it to a hypothetical battle. So if you would agree, this would be an inverse mechanic. This is cross-section to a cross-verse mechanic as well. Because it's like hypothetical battle between those 2 characters. I'm sorry that I'm cutting you.
I love you.
No, it's like annoying. It's like my alert. Okay, so here's the thing, right? And now I forgot. This is why I hate debating. Okay, just repeat the first part.
You hate debating me. Don't worry. I know.
Just repeat the first part.
Oh, I just said you hate debating me. I know.
Okay, good for you. Just repeat the first part.
That's what I said. The first part of my argument?
The argument! Oh my god.
Wait.
So mental.
Okay, so wait, the inverse, which one? The inverse cross-section into fiction? I mean, inverse cross-section into fiction. What the fuck? Inverse cross-section into cross-verse? Or the mechanism for inverse?
The inverse connection to cross-verse.
Okay, so basically, whenever you oppose a question, why is this subjective in cross-verse, and why is this only not applicable in inverse? Basically, we get our character scaling inverse situation, right? And basically, how we put a cross-verse battle is we have a hypothetical verse, another hypothetical verse, and then a hypothetical battleground for our hypothetical verses to meet and actually fight in close actions. The abilities and manifestations or occurrences of physicality, anything about your character that you're deeming is going to be pushed, if you can give reasonable cause and explanation for it, is going to be pushed into a hypothetical battleground because that's how we fight these 2 characters. Without inverse mechanisms or even mechanics, we're not going to deduce anything from our 2 characters because our characters have no scaling. That's why you have an inverse framework of scaling our characters. I gave extra extrapolation like that.
So, okay, I feel like your logic would work if it's in a certain law on which your verse follows. I'll give you a quick example. Shinra, we know that he's immeasurable speed inverse, but outer verse he's not outer verse, sorry. Cross verse he's FTL because it only takes FTL speed in a certain type of verse, which is his verse, to move at immeasurable speed. I feel like in the physicality of things, not the actual logic of things would be applied here. So if you're trying to apply the same logic, that since I'm questioning whether or not he can do this cross verse, you would have to justify with further substantiation of evidence that it would happen cross verse with the entire like ideation of it. Because okay. I feel like definition.
Yeah, I got your point. I got your point. Wait, no, you can repeat. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like, no, that's fine. That's a shock, and I'll mention it later.
All right, let's go. All right. You were basically saying laws and frameworks of different verses and mechanisms are the same. So you'll have to explain why it's applicable in a cross-verse section if they was hypothetically battle, right?
It's practically.
Okay, cool. Alright, the reason why, one, that's a problem, even if they have distinction between laws and the law of non-contradiction doesn't exist in this verse, right? Even if it doesn't exist in my verse, because it's never specified, it's never mentioned, just the inferences are deduced to make it exist. Not the necessarily like law. But here's my problem with that. Even if you grant the character, my character, have this, he still has this ability whenever he pushes it into the hypothetical verse. You could grant your character literally anything, Sam. I would agree to anything for your character other than him winning. And he would still lose in this fictional verse. Because my ability just makes contradictory coexisting stages coexist no matter what. It would logically have to work even if your character doesn't have laws that are the same within his own verse.
Okay, so I'll question that, like, ideology in a second. But, like, for one, if I were to put Kakashi in the verse with, like stuff like that would help him win, right? You're saying it wouldn't happen because he's doing something in his verse that's saying that, yeah, it's, like, physically impossible doing that, right? Are you aware that, like, every single verse does that? It'll have something that is seeming illogical or has something that seemingly does, follow the law of non-contradiction. Like, for example, there's so many, like, power systems that follow the law of non-contradiction, having physical and spiritual energy in the same body, right? That would be a contradiction because you can't physically have two energy sources that pertain to your life have a physical and, like, non-physical, like, composition. They would have to, like, coexist, like, differently because then your body would, like, function completely differently than it would.
Seb, all right, that's fine. You want to speed this up? Kakashi can have anything he wants. He can have law of non-contradiction. I don't care. He still loses. Be my prince.
Do you not realize that giving him the law of non-contradiction, like, literally puts him on Gojo's level?
Exactly. So it's inconclusive. GG.
Well, I'm not like GGing off of that because I'm just asking you a question. But
well, yeah, if he's on the same level as Gojo, nothing would work on neither of them because it may coexist. Like, for example, if my character wanted to win, Kakashi would just make this contradiction coexist at the same time where he doesn't. If your character wanted to win, if he despite it, if he had an ability that he wanted to attack Gojo, Gojo would just make it not happen. Why? Coexisting contradictory stages cannot coexist. So either way is inconclusive. Your character cannot lift it up.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack, like, the last couple of things you said about Gojo. Are you trying to go to conclusions right after, or do you want to respond, like, several?
Depends what you say. I'll probably move on to conclusions after.
Okay, so... okay. Jesus, this is, like, hard to keep up. Okay. So we know that, like, via the fact that, like, the law of non-contradiction does exist in certain verses, you're saying this is, like, we have no proof of, like, the law of non-contradiction actually, like, exists, like, right? I feel like that should be presupposed because things like logicality still exist in fictional verses until proven otherwise. That's why things like, argument from ignorance or appeal to reality exist. We shouldn't assume certain, like, arbitrary things that would, like disamp the entire verse in general. If we were to assume that, like, JJK didn't follow the law of non-contradiction, they would be able to do anything to that their mind puts them to. Right?
Alright, go ahead, my fault.
Okay. And the second point, I feel like you're hyper fixating on the fact that, like, it can create something that would, like, have this certain property, because the main idea of what it's supposed to do is this one singular property where it's like a magnet thing, like, it gets closer until it, like, eventually quote unquote stops, right? Into, like, an infinite regression, something like that. Every like fictional verse has, like, the concept of infinite, the Achilles paradox in it inherently. Like, same thing happens with Gojo, except Gojo can actually control it. But just because you control a paradox, that would just give you paradox manipulation at the slowest, and that's not even OP at least.
Okay. First, in lots of things, even IRL fiction, the foundation of something is not always above the supplementary things. Do you disagree with that?
Do you know what? Well, I heavily disagree with that. What?
Yeah, sure. A mother gives birth. It's a son. The son gains, like, fucking, I don't know, he's a boxer. Would he not beat up the mother?
Would he not beat up the mother?
Yeah, he's a boxer.
Well, the foundation wouldn't be the mother, though. The foundation would be the...
That's where he started life.
You say?
That's where he started life at. The foundation's directly the mother. Everything, wait. You're not, wait. That's where he started life. The foundation's directly the mother. All the supplementary things that happen after, as in his training, his coach is telling him what to do. That's supplementary to what it is.
Yeah, my fault. Yeah, my fault for cutting you off. But yeah, no, the foundation wouldn't be the mother giving birth. The foundation would be the birth itself. You can't physically be above birth.
Yeah, and who's producing it?
It wouldn't matter who's producing it because that's still an idealistic thing. Like I'm trying to say.
I mean, if it's an idealistic thing, that doesn't debunk the point that the mother's still reproduction cycle is still giving birth to. The birth itself, the birth itself. If you're saying that's the foundation, the mother has the authoritative figure to get it aborted or not. She's the foundation, and like indefinitely from either I don't. It's my fault. Analytic values, any logical values that you have, she is the foundation of it, no matter what.
Okay, so one straw man. I didn't say the birth. I didn't say like the physical birth itself. I said like just birth in general. You can't be above birth. Birth is the idea of like creating life. You know, like the production of like beginning of life for a person, right? There's no physical way a boxer can be above life itself. That's what I'm referring to. That's synonymous. That analogy producing it would be synonymous with the like question we have here.
Okay, yeah. One, I don't care about him being above life. That's not what I'm arguing. Does the mother not have control over the birth? Yes.
I guess she has control over the physical birth. I'm fine with that.
Okay, and you're talking about this conceptual birth?
Yeah, because that's synonymous with what we're talking about. We're talking about like the idealistic part, not the physical part.
No. It's not.
Like I said, because like I said before, he only controls it to a physical amount. He doesn't actually control the conceptual amount. That's why it's only paradox manipulation and not illogical manipulation. Or
illogical. But that would control. Okay, idealistically and even conceptually, that would follow as if the conceptual embodiment of it still being controlled by himself. Same with the mother analogy. Still be controlled because she's controlling that concept. If it's going to be indefinitely, as if she's going to actually give the birth, if the concept's going to die right there, if the death's going to come and intertwine with this and kill it, that is what I'm talking about. Gojo does the same thing by him being above the foundationalized subject, which is the conceptual matter of the limitless, with supplementary new dishes of his power, which is by what I think, obviously, in this debate, the logicality. Well, main sub-logicality.
Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this. Probably not repeat this, but I'll say this one more time. So no, she doesn't control the concept of birth. She controls the outcome of whether or not birth happens. If I say, like, for example, the concept of breaking something, right? If I break my controller, that doesn't mean I'm controlling the concept of breaking my controller. That just means I'm controlling action.
Okay, yes. That concept at that point would be destroyed. If, for example...
So you have to...
Wait. For example, the mother controls this physicality embodiment of what the concept of this. Either A, aborts it, or B, gives it life. She can intertwine this with another concept and abort it and kill the child. At that point, death and birth is intertwined, as in we can represent it as life and death is intertwined in such a way where death is overcoming victorious, and that's where the concept's destroyed. So the foundation is not always this hierarchy or overarching thing that is going to be always above supplementary dishes. But you finally moving on to the conclusion since you wanted to go?
No, I'm not gonna like respond to that.
Yeah, you could attack it. I'll just read it.
Okay, so if you attack, so if you physically, so controlling the concept as in like the idea of something. Like I said before, I feel like you completely missed this. Controlling whether or not something happens or something doesn't happen doesn't mean you're controlling it. That just means you're discussing on whether or not you're indulging in what in your concept, right? Like the concept that by that same logic, every human will be, thinking, right? And then they are over or controlling the concept of thinking. That is illogical in itself, and that would mean that Gojo is like physically fodder in his own.
Right, but then here's the difference. Can you kill thinking?
Can you kill thinking?
Can thinking die? The concept.
Not the concept. Well, I don't know. Like in a fictional verse, yes, it can.
No, obviously, no. Except you're arguing that she's not controlling. She's not controlling the concept, meaning she only makes the physicality anomaly and everything. And then you give an analogy with the breaking the controller and everything. And then that's right. You're obviously arguing that they cannot control or either A, destroy the concept. I'm arguing that once you have this determinative factor, actually, I already argued this. We could go to
Alright, Hatsake or Monte, do you even need conclusions? If you want someone else, like honest to God, if you don't like, no, I didn't realize I was going to debate you, so I thought it was going to be someone else. So like, I apologize, but if you want him to judge, I can get someone else.
Oh no, I don't care. I really don't care.
I thought.
I'll just.
Yeah,
I'll just. You should know, Seth. You should know.
I don't mind. I don't mind
Yeah.
like giving. I don't mind like giving conclusions. I just thought we were using the back to like go over the recording once everything was like done with.
Okay. Do you need to like? Honestly, I don't care if anyone else.
Yeah, I did. I didn't know you guys. I didn't know you guys like were gonna use a judge. But you never asked who wanted the judge. I thought that was the back.
I just assumed you were listening the time. I don't know. You
Oh
know.
no, I was listening, but I just didn't think you guys needed a judge.
How about this? We can have a media judge. Their verdict doesn't really matter, so I don't really care. Maji and Hitaki, simply you can say who you think won. No reasoning we have, and we'll just post right, and you can send it to whoever you accept. Okay?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I want an opinion. Obviously, it doesn't matter, but you know.
Yeah,
just...
immediate. Yeah. Simply, who do you think won? You don't gotta explain.
I don't have to.
No, we're not gonna question you. I don't think you won. Maji, because y'all are just immediate. Y'all are just giving opinions. Is Maji's dead? Question mark?
No, wait. Hot you said Soul, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't hear.
Alright, we could stop. Do you want to wait for Maji to give verdict so record with the media?
I don't think. I think if Maji's not talking now, he was listening for like the past 10 minutes.
No, it's fine. If he could like read a site random arguments, then I don't mind him immediate judging.
Just save the recording. Okay, make sure.